"You're unworthy of Henry's fortune," my father screamed, torching my diploma as I smiled and walked away. At the lawyer's office a week later, they learned why I stayed so calm, but the real storm was just beginning. The night my world shattered, it wasn't with a whisper but a roar, a chandelier crashing inches from my head, glass exploding like a gunshot across my parents' Manhattan penthouse. I was Sophie Carter, 24, freshly graduated from Columbia with honors, a rising star at Apex Creative, and the woman who'd just orchestrated a viral campaign that had the New York ad world buzzing. That night was supposed to be my victory lap, a graduation party surrounded by friends, family, and the promise of a future I'd clawed my way toward. Instead, it became a battlefield. As the chandelier's crystals glittered in the wreckage, my father, David Carter, stood over me, his face twisted with rage, clutching my diploma. "You're unworthy of Henry's money," he bellowed, tearing the parchment in two and tossing it into the roaring bonfire in their rooftop garden. The crowd gasped, but I just smiled, a calm masking the storm inside. They had no idea what I was planning. I grew up in the shadow of Manhattan's skyline, in a world of polished marble and empty promises. My parents, David and Elaine Carter, were the kind of wealthy who wore their status like a second skin. Dad, a financial mogul with a corner office in Midtown. Mom, a socialite who curated her life for gala invites. Their favorite child was my sister, Lauren, 6 years older, and the family's golden girl. Lauren was all charm and chaos, a social butterfly who flitted from one failed startup to the next, her lavish spending excused with a laugh and a, "That's just Lauren." Meanwhile, I was the afterthought, the serious one who studied while Lauren partied, who worked while she traveled Europe on our parents' dime. When Lauren flunked out of NYU after one semester, they hired private tutors and threw her a yacht party to celebrate her journey. When I made the dean's list every semester at Columbia, I got a pat on the head and, once, a dinner at Olive Garden. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" was the refrain of my childhood, a knife that cut deeper each time. The only person who saw me for me was my grandfather Henry, a real estate tycoon who'd built a fortune from Brooklyn brownstones to Hampton's estates. Henry was more than wealth. He was wisdom with a gravelly laugh and eyes that sparkled when he talked strategy. Every Sunday I'd escape to his Hampton's estate, a sprawling haven of cedar and sea air. There, on his sunlit porch, he taught me to read market trends, balance investment portfolios, and value integrity over flash. "Your parents chase shadows, Sophie," he'd say, pouring me lemonade. "Money's a tool, not a god. You get that." At 16, he pulled me aside, his voice low. "I'm leaving you everything. $8 million, 0 cents. The Hamptons place, the Manhattan loft, not your folks, not Lauren. They'd burned through it. You'll build something lasting." I hugged him, not for the money, but for the trust, a rare gift in a family that offered. Henry died 4 months before my graduation, and no one told me. Not my parents, not Lauren. I found out through a condolence email from his lawyer. Olivia Reed slipped into my inbox like an afterthought. The betrayal stung, but it made sense. They were already scheming for his estate. As I walked across Columbia's stage, cap tassels swinging, I felt Henry's absence like a physical ache. My parents showed up late, Mom fussing with her designer scarf, Dad checking his Rolex during the president's speech. Their applause when I received my diploma was perfunctory, their smiles plastic. They'd insisted on hosting my party at their penthouse, a 2-hour trek from campus, inviting distant relatives I barely knew. "It's a big day for the family," Dad said when I questioned the guest list. I should have known then they were setting a stage. The party started innocently enough, blue and gold streamers, Columbia's colors, draped across the rooftop, a jazz quartet playing softly, and a banner proclaiming, "Congratulations, Sophie!" But the air felt charged, like the moment before a storm. My best friend Mia texted me as I drove in. "Something's off. Your parents are acting weird, and Lauren keeps talking about a family surprise. Another text followed. Your mom just yelled at the caterer over a fork placement. This isn't normal. My stomach twisted as I pulled into the valet line. The penthouse was packed. Cousins I hadn't seen in years, Dad's business associates, a few Columbia friends who'd made the drive. Aunt Claire, Mom's sister, hugged me too tightly, whispering, "Big changes coming, Sophie. Exciting times." Uncle Roger, her husband, clapped my shoulder. A day for the whole family to shine. Their words felt loaded, rehearsed. Lauren stood by the bonfire, her sequin dress catching the flames' glow, a champagne flute in hand. "Here's our scholar," she called, her voice dripping with mockery. "Columbia's golden girl with her fancy degree." The crowd chuckled, but I caught the edge in her tone. Mom flitted between guests, her laughter brittle, while Dad poured whiskey with a heavy hand. In the kitchen, I overheard Aunt Claire whispering to Roger. "Do you think she suspects what they're planning?" he replied. "She's smart, but not even Sophie can stand up to this." My pulse quickened. Then I saw Olivia Reed, Henry's lawyer, standing quietly by the bar, her presence a red flag. I approached her, keeping my voice low. "Didn't expect you here." She nodded subtly. "Your father invited me last minute, said there'd be family business to discuss. I'm here for you, Sophie." Before I could press her, Lauren sidled up, her breath sharp with alcohol. "Olivia, so glad you could witness history," she slurred, then turned to me. "Hope you're feeling generous, little sister. Family's all about sharing, right?" Her words were a warning shot. I was about to respond when a metallic groan echoed above. Instinctively, I stepped back as the massive chandelier overhead tore free, crashing to the floor in a spray of crystalline sparks. Guests screamed, diving for cover. I froze, heart pounding, as Dad rushed over, feigning concern. "Sophie, are you okay?" His eyes didn't match his words. They were cold, calculating. Mia grabbed my arm, whispering that wasn't an accident. Later, a maintenance report confirmed the fixture had been deliberately loosened, but in that moment, I only knew fear and suspicion. Dad clinked his glass, silencing the shaken crowd. "Friends, family, thank you for celebrating Sophie's graduation," he began, his voice smooth as ever, "but today's also about family unity." Mom stepped beside him, clutching a folder, her smile tight. "As you know, my father Henry passed recently. He left a significant estate to Sophie, but we believe fairness means sharing it equally with Lauren." Murmurs rippled through the guests. Some nodded, others looked uneasy. Lauren stepped forward, her eyes glistening with crocodile tears. "I loved Grandpa, too," she said. "I'm trying to save my fashion brand, create a legacy. Don't I deserve a chance?" Mom held up the folder. "We've prepared documents to ensure both our girls are secure. Sophie, this is your moment to show you value family." I stared at them, the weight of years pressing down. Every ignored achievement, every dollar funneled to Lauren, every time they'd dismissed me as too serious. Henry's voice echoed in my mind. "They'll come for you. Be ready." "No," I said, my voice clear. "I won't sign. Henry chose me for a reason." The room went silent. Dad's face reddened. "What did you say?" "I said no," I repeated. "Henry's wishes were clear. I'm honoring them." Mom's voice turned shrill. "Sophie, you're being selfish. Lauren needs this to get back on her feet." "You've got your degree, your career," Lauren chimed in, her tears gone. "You always thought you were better than me, cozying up to Grandpa, manipulating him." Olivia stepped forward, her tone sharp. "David, pressuring Sophie like this could be seen as duress, which would invalidate any agreement." Dad ignored her, his voice rising. Henry wasn't in his right mind. You took advantage of a dying man, Sophie. Uncle Roger tried to calm him, but Dad was unraveling. You've been handed everything. Columbia, internships, Henry's favoritism. Lauren's struggling, and you'd let her drown. I met his gaze. Lauren's struggles are her own making. You enabled her. I won't pay for it. That's when he snapped. He grabbed my diploma from a nearby table, ripped it in half, and threw it into the bonfire. You're unworthy, he roared as the parchment curled into ash. Gasps filled the room. Mia gripped my hand, her eyes wide. I should have been devastated, but a strange calm settled over me. This was their mask slipping, their greed laid bare. Thank you, I said softly, for showing everyone who you really are. I turned to leave, but Lauren blocked my path, her face contorted. You walk out, you're done with this family. I looked at her, seeing not the sister I'd once idolized, but a woman consumed by entitlement. I've been done for years, I said, stepping past her. Olivia followed, whispering, let's go. The party erupted behind us, relatives arguing, Mom sobbing, Dad shouting threats. In the elevator, Olivia squeezed my shoulder. You okay? No, I admitted, but I will be. She drove me to a boutique hotel in Soho, urging me to silence my phone. It buzzed relentlessly. 42 missed calls, texts ranging from Mia's support to Dad's threats. You'll regret this, Sophie. Mom's messages were guilt trips. You're tearing us apart. Lauren's were venomous. You'll choke on that money. At the hotel over coffee, Olivia revealed Henry's foresight. He knew they'd come for you. He had psychological evaluations done every 6 months to prove his competence. He recorded his will on video, explaining why you're the beneficiary. The estate, $8 million, 0 cents. The Hamptons estate, the Manhattan loft. It's yours, with safeguards. I exhaled, the weight of Henry's trust grounding me. What about Lauren? He gets $75,000, 0 cents, but only for rehab or education. Henry knew about her debts, $300,000, 0 cents, to loan sharks. Your parents are desperate to bail her out. That night, danger struck again. Driving home from the hotel in a rental car, my brakes failed on a quiet street. I swerved into a ditch, heart pounding, as the car skidded to a stop. A mechanic later confirmed the lines were cut. Deliberate sabotage. I called Olivia, trembling. They're not stopping. She arranged a safe house, a friend's apartment in Brooklyn, and sent a driver. At 2 a.m., my phone lit up with Mia's text. Check your apartment's security feed. I logged in and saw grainy footage of a masked figure slipping into my place, stealing my laptop with Apex's campaign files. Ryan, my boyfriend, traced the intruder's car to a known associate of Lauren's, a lowlife tied to her loan sharks. They're targeting your career too, he said, his voice tight. This is bigger than the inheritance. The next day, Olivia uncovered more. David had forged a lien on Henry's Hamptons estate, trying to siphon funds before I could claim it. His financial firm was linked to a real estate syndicate with a history of shady deals. They're not just after Henry's money, Olivia said. They want to bury you to protect their interests. Ryan, working late, found evidence of the syndicate's involvement in my campaign's sabotage. Someone had leaked Apex's strategy to a rival agency. My world was unraveling, but Henry's words echoed, "You'll build something lasting." I wasn't just fighting for money. I was fighting for my future, my work, my life. The third danger came at a charity gala for Apex, where I was presenting our campaign. Midway through, my drink tasted off, and my vision blurred. I stumbled to the bathroom, vomiting, as Mia called 911. Tests showed a near-lethal dose of sedatives in my system. "Someone spiked your wine," Mia whispered, her face pale. Security footage caught a waiter paid by an unknown source slipping something into my glass. Ryan traced the payment to a shell company linked to David's firm. "They're escalating," he said, "installing encrypted firewalls on my devices." I felt like prey, hunted by my own family. Olivia moved fast, transferring the Hamptons estate and Manhattan loft to my name, but David's firm fought back, filing a lawsuit claiming I was mentally unfit due to post-graduation stress. They wanted conservatorship, control over my assets, my life. Ryan and I worked around the clock, documenting every threat, every attack. Mia became my eyes and ears, slipping me burner phones to evade the private investigator my parents had hired. At night, in the safe house, I pored over Henry's old journals, found in a box Olivia sent. They detailed years of David and Elaine's attempts to manipulate him, from begging for loans to forging documents. Henry had seen it all, and he'd prepared me. The final blow came days later. My Apex office caught fire overnight, the flames targeting my desk, my files. Firefighters called it arson, and a chemical trace pointed to a contractor tied to David's syndicate. I sat in the safe house, staring at the news on my phone, the wait after Henry's money. They weren't just after Henry's money. They wanted to erase me, my career, my existence. But I wasn't broken. I was Sophie Carter, the girl Henry believed in, the one who'd turned a startup's campaign into a phenomenon. I called Olivia. "Set the meeting with my parents. I'm ending this." As I prepared for the confrontation, my cane, a sleek titanium reminder of my resilience, felt like a weapon. Olivia had the recordings, Dad's rant at the party, Lauren's threats, evidence of the lien fraud. Ryan had the syndicate's financial trail. Mia had photos of the sabotaged chandelier and brake lines. I was ready to face them, to expose their greed, to reclaim what was mine. But questions gnawed at me. What else had Henry hidden in his estate? Secret deals, maybe, that could unravel the syndicate. Was Lauren just a pawn, or was she orchestrating more? How deep did David's corruption run? Could I trust Ryan completely, or was his devotion too perfect? And when I faced them, would I walk away whole, or would their next move finally break me? The safe house in Brooklyn smelled of fresh paint and old secrets, a stark contrast to the polished chaos of my parents' Manhattan penthouse. I was Sophie Carter, 24, a marketing director who'd survived, a sabotaged chandelier, cut brake lines, a stolen laptop, a spiked drink, and an arson attack on my office, all in a week. My body ached from the stress, my mind a battlefield of rage and resolve. But I was alive, fueled by my grandfather Henry's faith in me. His $8 million 0 cents estate, Hamptons mansion, Manhattan loft, and liquid assets was mine, but it came with a target on my back. As I sat in the dimly lit apartment, Ryan's laptop casting a blue glow across his furrowed brow, I knew the fight wasn't over. My parents, David and Elaine, and my sister Lauren weren't just after Henry's money. They wanted me erased, and they weren't alone. Ryan, my financial analyst boyfriend, was hunched over his laptop, decrypting files he'd pulled from my father's firm, Carter Financial. "Sophie, look at this," he said, his voice tight. He turned the screen to reveal an email chain between David and a man named Victor Kane, a name that sent a chill through me. Kane was a known player in New York's underbelly, a real estate syndicate boss with a rap sheet masked by shell companies. The email was blunt. "The Carter girls' project threatens our Midtown deal. The incident at the gala should have ended it. Next steps?" The incident was the sedative in my drink at Apex Creative's charity event, a near-lethal dose that left me vomiting in a bathroom stall. David's reply was colder. "Handle her. The estate's ours if she's out." I pushed the laptop away, my hands trembling. "They're not just greedy, they're monsters." Ryan nodded, his jaw clenched. "There's more." Kane's syndicate wired $150,000, 0 cents, to an account tied to Lauren's loan sharks 2 days before the chandelier crash. Your sister's debts aren't just personal, they're leverage. Lauren's $300,000, 0 cents, owed to dangerous men wasn't news, but this tied her to a broader conspiracy. My father's firm was neck-deep with Kane's syndicate, which coveted Henry's properties for a shady midtown redevelopment scheme. My Apex campaign, a viral push for a green tech startup, threatened their plans by spotlighting sustainable urban projects. Killing me killed 2 birds. They'd secure Henry's estate and bury my work. Olivia Reed, Henry's lawyer, arrived at the safe house at dawn, her briefcase stuffed with documents. "The Hamptons estate and Manhattan loft are yours," she said, spreading papers across the table. "But David's firm is fighting dirty. They've filed for conservatorship, claiming you're mentally unfit from post-graduation stress. They've got a judge, Ellison, in their pocket." I gripped my titanium cane, a sleek reminder of my survival. "They think I'm weak. Let's use that." Olivia's eyes gleamed. Henry anticipated this. His will's airtight. Psychological evaluations, a video statement, and I've got the gala footage showing the waiter spiking your drink. We can counter their narrative. The plan was to liquidate Henry's properties fast, turning assets into untouchable cash before my parents could contest them. But danger stalked every move. That afternoon, during a covert meeting with Apex's CEO to salvage my campaign, Danger 6 struck. A power surge fried the conference room's electronics, sparking a fire that trapped me inside. I crawled under a table, smoke stinging my eyes as Ryan kicked down the door, pulling me out. Firefighters later found a tampered electrical panel, rigged by a contractor linked to Kane's syndicate. "They're targeting your work now," Ryan said, his voice raw. "Your campaign's a threat to their billions." Back at the safe house, Ryan fortified our digital defenses, encrypting my phone and laptop after a hack attempt on my cloud storage. He found a back door in Apex's servers, planted by a hacker tied to Lauren's loan sharks. "They're after your campaign data," he said. "If they leak it, your startup client's done." I felt the walls closing in. My family wasn't just after Henry's money. They wanted to dismantle everything I'd built. I called Olivia, my voice steady despite the panic. "Sell the properties now. I don't care about sentiment. I need to be untouchable." She nodded, already on the phone with buyers. A tech mogul for the Hamptons estate, a developer for the loft. Tension 6 hit the next morning. An anonymous text buzzed my burner phone. "Sign the estate over or the next fire burns you alive." Ryan traced it to Lauren's personal number, her desperation laid bare. "She's not just a pawn," he said. "She's in deep with Keene's crew." I stared at the message, Henry's words echoing, "They'll come for you. Be ready." Lauren, the sister I'd once braided hair with, was now a willing player in a plot to kill me. I texted Olivia. "Push the sales through. Get the FBI on Kane's syndicate." Her reply was swift. "Done. Meeting a federal contact tomorrow." The sales moved fast. $4,500,000, 0 cents for the Hamptons estate. $2,800,000, 0 cents for the loft, netting $7,300,000, 0 cents after fees. I donated $1,500,000, 0 cents, to a financial literacy nonprofit, honoring Henry's belief in empowering others. I paid off my $50,000, 0 cents student loans, a quiet defiance against my parents' refusal to support me. But Tension 7 loomed. David's lawsuit gained traction. Judge Ellison, a known ally of Carter Financial, scheduled a conservatorship hearing in 5 days, citing concerns about my mental state. Olivia countered with Henry's evaluations and my medical records. But David's team produced forged therapy notes claiming I was delusional post-graduation. "They're building a cage," Olivia warned. "If they win, they control you and the money." Danger 7 came at midnight. A gas leak filled the safe house, triggered by a tampered line. Mia, staying over, smelled it and dragged me outside, coughing as sirens wailed. The gas company confirmed sabotage, and Ryan found a digital trail to a contractor hired by Kane's syndicate. "They're not stopping," he said, installing motion sensors and panic buttons. I felt like a hunted animal, every shadow a threat, but Henry's journals, which I read obsessively, kept me grounded. He'd documented my parents' greed, fake loans, forged signatures, years before I was born. He'd known they'd turn on me. Tension 8 escalated when Mia intercepted a call from a private investigator hired by my parents. He'd been tailing me, hacking my old email, even bribing a hotel clerk for my location. I switched to burner phones, communicating only through encrypted apps Ryan set up. "They're closing in," Mia said, her voice shaking. She'd become my rock, documenting every incident. The chandelier, the brakes, the fire, the gas leak. Her notebook was a lifeline, evidence for the FBI. But doubt crept in. Could I trust her completely? She'd been at the gala, steps away, when my drink was spiked. I pushed the thought away, hating myself for it. Danger 8 struck during a late-night drive to meet Olivia. An unmarked SUV rammed our car, forcing Ryan to swerve onto a Brooklyn pier. The SUV's driver, masked, fired a warning shot before speeding off. Ryan's hands shook as he called 911, but the police found no plates, no prints. "Kane's men," he said, his voice low. "They're sending a message." My heart pounded, but I refused to break. I called Olivia, demanding an update. "The FBI's building a case," she said. "Kane's syndicate is under scrutiny, but we need more. Your recordings, Ryan's financial trails." Tension 9 hit when Ryan uncovered a plot to frame me for fraud. Fake transactions, planted in my name, linked me to Kane's shell companies. "If this sticks, you're discredited, may be arrested," he said, his eyes dark with worry. "Your campaign, your firm, gone." I felt the noose tightening, but Henry's voice steadied me. "You're my successor." I wasn't just fighting for money. I was fighting for my name, my work, my life. I told Olivia to prepare for the confrontation at her office, a showdown to end it all. The final danger came the night before the meeting. Danger 9 unfolded at the safe house, where a power outage plunged us into darkness. Footsteps echoed outside, and a window shattered. Ryan tackled a masked intruder wielding a knife, subduing him until police arrived. The man, hired by Kane, confessed to targeting me on David's orders. "They want you dead before the hearing," he spat. Ryan tightened security, but I couldn't sleep, haunted by the knife's glint. Mia stayed up, her notebook open, adding the incident to our evidence. The morning of the confrontation, Tension 10 arrived, a leaked memo from Carter Financial hinting at a new attack on Apex. "They're planning to tank your startup client," Ryan said, showing me encrypted chats. "If they succeed, your career's over." I gripped my cane, resolve hardening. At Olivia's office, the conference room was a war zone waiting to ignite. I arrived early, Ryan and Mia flanking me, evidence loaded on a tablet. Olivia had Henry's video cued, a legal sledgehammer. My parents and Lauren walked in at 10 a.m., their faces a mix of smugness and strain. David's suit was crisp, Elaine's makeup flawless, but Lauren's eyes were bloodshot, her hands trembling. Their lawyer, Gerald Voss, a syndicate-friendly shark, carried a briefcase of forged documents. Olivia opened with Henry's video. His face filled the screen, weathered but sharp. "If you're watching this, my family is contesting my will. I chose Sophie because she embodies integrity, not greed. David and Elaine pressured me for years, forging documents, begging loans. Lauren's debts, $300,000 0 cents to loan sharks, are her own doing, enabled by her parents." The room froze. Elaine gasped, David's face turned purple, and Lauren stared at the floor. Henry continued. "My estate, $8 million, 0 cents. The Hamptons, the loft, goes to Sophie. Contest it, and your $75,000 0 cents bequests go to charity. The no contest clause landed like a bomb. I played the recordings. David's rant at the party, Lauren's hissed threats, intercepted emails tying them to Kane. "You tried to kill me," I said, my voice cutting through their silence. "Chandelier, brakes, poison, fire, gas leak, knife. You sold your daughter for money and power." David lunged, screaming, "You've ruined us." Ryan restrained him, his strength a quiet force. Elaine sobbed. Lauren broke, whispering, "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I leaned forward, Kane tapping the table. "I sold everything. $7,300,000 0 cents. Untouchable. Your lawsuit's dead. The FBI has Kane's files. One move, and these recordings go to the New York Times." Voss stammered, citing legalities, but Olivia shut him down. "California's one-party consent applies here. The evidence is admissible, and Kane's syndicate is under federal investigation." David's fight drained. Elaine's sobs grew louder. Lauren looked at me, guilt flickering, but I felt no pity, only clarity. "I pity your greed," I said. "Henry saw you for what you are. So do I." I walked out, Ryan at my side, the click of my cane a victory march. Outside, the Manhattan skyline glittered, a promise of freedom. 6 months later, I stood in my new office at Carter Strategies, my marketing firm for ethical startups. Henry's $7,300,000 0 cents funded it, along with a foundation mentoring young women in business. I'd paid my loans, donated to causes Henry loved, and rebuilt my life. Lauren entered rehab, funded by Henry's trust. But our bond was ashes. David's firm faced FBI scrutiny, his reputation crumbling. Elaine faded from the socialized scene, a ghost of her former self, but questions lingered, shadows in the corners of my mind. Curiosity won. Did Henry hide more in his estate? Secret deals exposing Kane's syndicate? Curiosity 2, was Lauren a pawn or a mastermind, plotting revenge from rehab? Curiosity 3, how far did Kane's influence reach, and would it target my firm? Curiosity 4, could Ryan's loyalty mask a hidden agenda tied to my wealth? Curiosity 5, would Carter Strategies dismantle the syndicate, risking my life but forging Henry's legacy? As I looked out over the city, Henry's voice echoed, "Build something lasting." I was ready, forged in fire, unbreakable,